Here we go.
All right, great. We're recording. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. I'd like to welcome you to and call to order this regular meeting of the Bethel Board of Selectmen for April 6th, 2021. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was going to make a motion to add something to the agenda, and that was a request from Nancy Ryan, who wanted to be on the agenda, and she didn't get the request in time to do a brief report from the Public Site and Building Committee, but I don't see her logged in yet, so we'll wait on that. If she might have had some conflict tonight, so if she comes on, then I'll make that motion. But let's see, moving on to correspondence. Dion, I don't think we had anything new come in, right? Okay, nothing. Public comments. I see Pat and Kitty are here. Any comments tonight?
No, I just wanted to say I thought last night's meeting went well. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In that case, we'll move on to item number 4, consideration of the regular meeting minutes of our last regular meeting, which was March 16th, all the way back there. I'll put a motion on the floor that we approve those minutes.
I'll second that.
All right, seconded by Paul. Are there any corrections or comments pertaining to those?
No.
All right, then I shall try your minds. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Matt,
And that motion carries, yes.
I'd like to add 2 items to the agenda tonight, and one may be covered by Nancy or may not.
Okay.
If you don't mind. The first one I really want to cover is reconvening of the Charter Revision Commission. I'd like to start that because, it's been long overdue. It's really no fault of the town. We had, I want to say the pandemic, I guess, from your seat there in the office as first selectman, you were hoping that the governor would extend by executive order, but that's not happening. So that's my first one. So I'll make a motion.
All right, so you're gonna make a motion to add the issue of Charter Commission to the agenda, correct?
Yeah, to reconvene.
Okay, all right, I'll second that. So we have a motion to add to the agenda. So this isn't to actually reconvene it. This is to add to the agenda.
Okay. All right.
So those in favor of adding this item as item number 8, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, that carries.
And my second one, it's my favorite subject. It's the police station's firing range. I'd like to add that to tonight's agenda.
Okay. All right.
That's as a motion.
I'll second it.
All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So that'll be item number 9.
All right.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. All right. So we approved the minutes. Item number 5 is consideration of the fair housing resolution. This is something that we need to approve once per year. This is a little bit lengthy, but I shall read it into the record. Town of Bethel Fair Housing Resolution, whereas all persons are afforded a right to full and equal housing opportunities in the neighborhood of their choice, and whereas federal fair housing laws require that all individuals, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin, be given equal access to all housing-related opportunities, including rental and home ownership opportunities, and be allowed to make free choices regarding housing location. And whereas Connecticut fair housing laws require that all individuals, regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, sex, marital status, age, lawful source of income, familial status, learning disability, physical or mental disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression, be given equal access to all housing-related opportunities, including rental and home ownership opportunities, and be allowed to make free choices regarding housing location. And whereas the town of Bethel is committed to upholding these laws and realizes that these laws must be supplemented by an affirmative statement publicly endorsing the right of all people to full and equal housing opportunities in the neighborhood of their choice. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Bethel hereby endorses a fair housing policy to ensure equal opportunity for all persons to rent, purchase, obtain financing, and enjoy all other housing-related services of their choice on a non-discriminatory basis as provided by state and federal law. And be it further resolved that as the chief executive officer of the town of Bethel or his or her designee, representative is responsible for responding to and assisting any person who alleges to be a victim of illegal discriminatory housing practices in the town of Bethel, and for advising such person of the right to file a complaint with the State of Connecticut Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities, or the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or to seek assistance from the Connecticut Fair Housing Center, Legal Services, or other fair housing organizations to protect his or her right to equal housing opportunities. Adopted by the town of Bethel on, and I'll insert the date, April 6, 2021. So I'll make that, I'll put that resolution on the floor as a motion. Is there a second? Second by Rich. Any discussion?
No,
And
this is an annual thing, isn't it?
Correct. Yep. We have to reaffirm once a year and post this in town hall and publish it. And our housing representative is Joe Fallow, by the way, who keeps track of those things. And he would be the person to handle complaints and bring them to my attention, and then therefore onto the Board of Selectmen's attention. So those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Item number 6, consideration of tax refunds. Ann did not have those ready. She's still working on that list. So I'm going to put a motion on the floor that we table this item to the next meeting.
Second.
Second by Paul. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's tabled. Item number 7, turns out that Hart of the Housatonic Area Rapid Transit seeks representation from its member towns to sit on the board of directors, which was something that I did not know of until they contacted me about a week ago and said that they had an opening for Bethel, and it turns out that our economic development director, Janice Christianic, has actually been working with them. So they invited Janice to become a board member. I think the term of office is 4 years. Janice has volunteered to do that. So I would like to put a motion on the floor that we formally appoint Janice Christianic as our board of directors representative to the Housatonic Area Rapid Transit. And that's seconded by Rich. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Okay, item number 8, the reconvening of the Charter Commission. And let me, before you, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Paul. Before we do that, though, I did not have that, due to all this other stuff going on, I apologize. I did not have that conversation with Nick Hoffman yet to see if he and the others are willing to basically reconvene. I believe that they probably would, but if we want to make it a formal request, we can vote on that tonight if you'd like.
That's what I was proposing. I think I would like to propose that we establish a date, and perhaps it's going to be coordinated through your office, Matt, that you contact Nick Vitti and Nick Hoffman to see what's agreeable for them to go back to the proposal that we had, and whatever date they pick, and say within 2 weeks thereafter, they make the same proposal as they did to us before to the Board of Selectmen, so that we could just move it forward towards a referendum.
Okay.
The question comes down to, maybe I should ask Marty, do we have to go through a public hearing again on this charter, or is this, can we just pass through it and go directly to referendum?
No, that was the issue. It was supposed to be a public hearing on it, and it didn't get posted, and we didn't have the public hearing. So my question is, do we even need to reconvene the Charter Commission, that we can just pick up where we left off, going to the public hearing with the information that they provided? So I think you need some clarification from either Nick Beatty or Marty on this.
Marty,
I don't,
no, you're still,
Nope. There you go.
first thing is, that's the problem, that it was never followed, the procedure wasn't followed under the state statute. And to be honest with you, I think it's too late to follow the procedure under the state statute. That's one of the reasons why Matt was trying to get them to do an executive order. Basically, we could backdate everything. I'd have to take a look, but I don't think we have the authority to move forward. And I remember speaking to Nick Vitti about it. He agreed with me at the time, and that was what, 7 or 8 months ago. So it's a problem. I mean, I'll be happy to look at it and I'll be happy to speak to Nick just to make sure. But I have to tell you, I think at this point in time, it's water under the bridge and there's not much we can do to go back and get it unless they give us something in Hartford.
Okay.
Matt, do you think you can get something in writing from either the Attorney General, State Attorney General, or the Governor's office so that we can proceed?
I can certainly try. It wouldn't be from the AG's office. It would be from the governor's office.
Yeah,
I'm sure that the governor's council would send me at least an email and correspondence on that.
all right. Well, let's try that because, you know, there's just too much, at least what I've been hearing, saying what's happening with this charter revision. And, you know, you just can't go back and start pointing fingers. I would just like to go forward.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. So then by consensus, why don't we do that? We will carry this over items with certainty to the next agenda. And Marty can speak with Nick Vitti and get a ruling on that. I will call the governor's counsel, Doug Delana, and have a conversation with him about that. And then we'll move forward with some kind of a plan at the next meeting.
All right. You know, if you need our assistance, Richard's or mine, you know, hey,
Okay.
you know, we're available. You know,
Okay.
I think if we would plead the case, you know, as what has really happened, and I think just, I know there's legal limits, but at the same time, there was a pandemic.
Yeah. That's true. All right. So we have a resolution on that. So we have a plan to move forward.
Okay.
So moving on to item number 9, firing range. And before we discuss that, let me tell you that just yesterday, I received, Marty and I both received a response from Attorney Robinson's letter to Downs, in which basically, I haven't read the whole thing yet. I just started looking at it today, but basically they've agreed to the remediation that was in the Hoffman report. And I basically think it's very close to a resolution and we'll be able to move forward with that. Marty, have you had any time to analyze that letter in terms of what's being?
Yeah, pretty much what they're doing is based on the letter that Robinson sent. Downs basically has agreed to do everything that Robinson has requested that they do. So, and it's coming out of their contingency, not ours. And they made a point of saying that even at the end, if there's anything left in their construction contingency, they'll turn around and give it back to the town. So, I mean, there was that's pretty much it. They agreed. You know, we've had several meetings trying to figure out what was the best way to proceed, short of tearing everything down, which would not be a very wise thing to do. And they've agreed to it, basically.
What is the resolution? You know, I plead ignorance on this one.
Well, I was hoping Nancy would be here when I saw that, because if you look at Nancy's report, she mentions in there that, you know, that what it is that they're going to go through and they're going to clean up all they're going to repoint and mortar a lot of places where it's been indicated by the reports that there's a problem. All right. It's going to be thoroughly cleaned, repointed, redone. And then what's going to happen is it's going to be primed with a special sealer. All right. And then after it's primed, it should be another 2 coats of a different sealer that goes on above it. All right. Which is going to make it pretty much waterproof is what it comes down to. And there's some other things too that are going to be done, but those were the major items. And they're looking at, you know, you're looking at a solution. I think that was one of the issues always. How long is it going to hold for? And I
Right.
think that they've indicated that it's going to hold for longer than what was originally provided to us by other sealers. It looks like somewhere between 5 and 10 years, but more closer to the 10-year side, they believe.
Can
Could
we
be
get-
longer. Don't know. Could be longer.
Okay, we're not, are we gonna get a guarantee from Downs on that?
Well, that was one of the things that we asked, that they would guarantee it for a certain time period. I think if there was anything in the letter that they sent back that it wasn't overly clear, that was it. So I was going to speak to Robinson about that, because I think what we wanted them to do was we wanted them to guarantee that it would hold for so long.
Okay, let's see what they come
That
up
was
with.
the only problem that I saw.
Yeah, let's see what they come up with.
Marty, these funds were gonna, these repairs were gonna come out of the construction contingency, you said?
Yeah, it's coming out of their end. They made that very clear that it would come out of their end. And they went on to say that at the end, if there is any monies left in their contingency account, they will turn it back over to the town of Bethel.
Rich?
So basically, we're paying for the repairs. It
Well,
sounds-
they don't have to give us anything.
You don't have to keep
Oh, they don't have to give us
No,
back the,
technically, it's their contingency fund. You got the owner's contingency fund, the construction manager's contingency fund. If they don't use it, they don't use it, but they said that they would turn it over. They had said that before, that if there was anything left.
right.
The
From day
point is
one.
that we're not gonna, my point is, we don't have to go back to the people of Bethel and say, hey, you need to pony up with another $220,000 to get this done.
All
That's
right,
what the
I
problem.
understand.
That's the way I look at it.
All right, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Rich?
Yeah,
Rich,
yeah.
what is the amount in the contingency? Do
I
you
don't
recall? You don't know?
No. Nancy might know that.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember the number.
I didn't think there was any of that kind of money left in the contingency.
Well, they said they'll take care of it. So, whatever it is, they're gonna get stuck for it one way or the other. Like I
Yeah.
said, I think the only thing that I saw in the letter that needs some clarification is that we did ask that they guarantee it for a certain time period. What kind of guarantee you're gonna give us? I didn't really see that when I read the letter, but that's one of the things that we need to go back to and discuss with them. And I gotta tell you, I'm sure they want to get this done and over with more than the town wants to get this done and over with.
Yeah.
So, hopefully it'll work, and then we can go on and deal with the firing range the way it should have been dealt with to start out with.
Mhm.
So they're essentially gonna repoint the entire building?
No, there's certain sections that are bad, and they've already looked at it. I mean, the Hoffman report that was done by Downs, they looked at it. Our report through Beck, they looked at certain areas too, and they came to the same conclusion that there's certain areas where it's not right, where I'm a technical guy here, where it's shrunk or it cracked, and they think there was water that could be leaking in there. So they said what it should be done is in a lot of different spaces, it needs to be cleaned out, and it needs to be, chiseled out, I guess, and it needs to be repointed. And then just, almost like it's got to be all done all over again. There's a lot of sections, I think. It's not the whole thing, but a lot of it, especially where they believe the water is coming in.
Okay, let's see. I'd be
Marty,
curious to Rich, I think you and I and Matt should get a copy of that report.
Oh,
We-
yeah,
we've
I'll
said-
send-
Yes, that's not a problem. I'll get you a copy of the letter.
Yeah, we sat on too many
It's no
building
secret.
committees just to let this pass.
Yeah, it's not a secret. I mean, so I mean, Nancy got a copy of it, and Matt got one, I got one. But
Okay.
like I said, I'll be happy to get it to you by tomorrow. I'll send you over a copy.
Yeah, just send it by way of email if you can.
Sure.
Hey, Marty?
Yeah.
In the resolution of the problem there, were they going to do a final test I spoke to you about once before? After all this work is done, they'll do a final test.
I think what they were gonna do is, they were gonna do a subject portion first. They were, instead of just they're gonna do a section. It's almost like if I remember right, they're gonna take an area that's been a problem, and they're gonna do it, and then they're gonna test it. And I think the assumption is if that works, it should work for all of it.
Okay,
I remember right, and don't hold me to it, but I don't have it in front of me, and I don't have it committed to memory, but if I remember right, they were gonna do some testing like that, yes.
And if it doesn't,
Well, then we got a problem still.
yeah,
That's
tear
what
it
they
down
do,
and rebuild it.
Well, there was also another issue. There was an issue that Beck said that some of the flashing on one of the roofs near there wasn't done correctly. And they referred it to the architect. And the architect said the reason why the flashing is different is because the committee asked that the wall be a little bit higher. And when the wall went up higher, it changed the layout of the roof, but that the flashing was there is good and solid and it's not a problem.
We'll see. I've never known flashing to be a really major problem. Okay, thank you. Matt, I think that sort of covers, the issue. I just want to move it forward. It's just been ongoing too long.
Yep. Well, I just want to recap really quickly though, there was the problem. There was Downs' report. They hired an outside firm called Hoffman to do a report, not related to Nick, just Hoffman Engineering. They came up with a report and a solution. And then the subcontractor, the mason, hired their own engineer. And basically there was just so much smoke in the air and so much, basically, I don't think that any of the three of us, and I'm also going to throw in the building committee, nobody had any confidence as to which answer was the right one. The answer
Right.
to the problem and what the problem was, the right diagnosis and the right solution. So therefore, this board retained its own attorney, an independent attorney, and an independent engineering firm to look over all those materials, over those reports, both the Hoffman report, the Mason's engineering report, and then inspect the building, give us a completely independent reading on this. And basically, for the most part, they affirmed the Hoffman solution and said that's the way to go. So I know that took a long time, but and I know to the outside world it may look like nothing was happening, but I think before we proceeded, especially if we're going to spend money on, we've talked about a possible lawsuit. We were talking about some really expensive stuff. So I think it was important for this board of selectmen to really have some confidence that the avenues being pursued were the right ones. And I feel very good about that in reading the letter. And I know Marty does need to discuss that warranty issue, but that's the last remaining thing to put in place. And then I think we're ready to move forward. And I don't see any reason why we can't, have a vote on equipping that center sometime this summer.
Well, at the point when they're going to test, I think I'd like to have a special selectmen's meeting, be there at the test.
At the site, sure, yeah. Yep. It'll be a bring your own garden hose test.
I'll bring my power washer.
All right. So if there's nothing further to discuss, I think we're at the end of the agenda, correct?
I think so.
All right. Well, in that case, thank everybody for your input, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
so move.
All right.
Second.
So moved by Rich, seconded by Paul. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely evening. Dan, I'll see you tomorrow.
Good night, all.
Good night and be safe.